I'm beginning to believe that this is something that is GoToWebinar's issue, not my issue. So that may be why I was unable to get the audio going as well. We're going to get, it looks like we're going to get infinite numbers of GoToMeetings open here. So that should be really interesting. If I close even one of them, I will be off the webinar. So this is great. So is that what you're seeing, Ashley? Is you're seeing infinite number of GoToWebinar meeting screens open?
Yes, I am.
Isn't that lovely?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going, instead of that, I'm going to go ahead and put up just a regular screen here. I'm going to open it up. All right. So, well, that's probably not a good one to put up. I'll throw this one up. This is kind of interesting. We'll talk about later, maybe. Okay. So let's start by talking about the very first question that somebody did send in. And then remember, guys, if you have questions, and maybe you'll think of questions while we're doing this, but if you have questions as we go along, just be sure to drop them into the little chat space or the question space, or you can, those are the two things you can do. Or you can raise your hand, right? I think that's the other thing you can do is you can raise your hand and let us know that you have a question. All right, so the big question that came in, which will actually could take an entire hour to answer, but I'll only answer it as long as as there are not other questions to throw in here. And I think it's a big one. It's a really big issue for most small businesses today, including me, and it's a big issue, I'm sure, for all of you. And that is, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of ways, especially online, for us to promote our business. But in fact, a lot of offline methods of promoting our business still work really well too. So whether it might be some kind of a mailing piece, advertising in a local paper, sponsoring teams, holding events, being involved in events, sponsoring individuals. I mean, there's having some kind of small teams or small clubs at the store. There's a lot of ways to promote your store, and there's only so many hours in the day, and there's only so much money to spend. Now, you add all those traditional ways that you might promote your business, not online, and now you add the online element to it, and now you have a huge additional amount of potential for ways that you can advertise your store or promote your store. And the question that we got basically had to do with the online aspects of it, but I think we really need to look at both online and offline, because again, we only have so many dollars and so much time. The cool thing about most promotional activity online is that it's mostly about time and not about money. And so we can end up not having to expend a tremendous amount of money in order, let's say, to be actively involved in Facebook or Twitter, blogging, YouTube videos, whatever. Those are going to take time, not money. On the other side of the coin, some of the traditional methods are more about money. Certainly advertising in the local paper, advertising in with some kind of a mailing piece, advertising on bus benches, or I have actual bike shops that advertise on billboards, advertising on the radio. One of my clients advertises quite heavily on the radio. Those things do cost more money than time. So with limited resources of both, this question asked me, how would I rank the various activities? What would be my number one, my number two, my number three ways to promote the business given limited resources? So let me see if I can do that. And again, if there are questions, actually, don't hesitate to try to let me know that we've got other questions.
Okay.
Okay, so let's start with number one. Number one way that you need to promote your business is probably a tie. It's a tie between your website and Google Places. Both of those are going to show up. I'm going to do a little quick Google search here. Let's just look up bike shop, something I can spell, Atlanta. Okay, Bike Shop Atlanta. When we go to Bike Shop Atlanta, we're going to see the everything search right now. And actually in Atlanta, you'll notice that the everything search is giving you the first 10 results, or actually 7 results, are Google Places results before we get to any what we call organic non-Google Places results. So in this particular case, you're getting all places results at the top of the page. That's not always true. Sometimes you're going to get 2 or 3 traditional like websites or other kinds of results before you see the Google Places results. If you click on more right here and you then go to Places, you're going to see Google Places results. You're going to see 10 of them. And in this case, they're not showing any organic results under it. More typically, you're going to see about 3 organic results below there. So this is kind of interesting that that's not a very typical result unless things have changed since yesterday. Let's just try another city just for fun. Let's try, Norwalk, since that's an area where I have clients. So, and you're actually seeing, in this case, you're seeing that my result is colored by the fact that this is my client. I've been on his site many times, and as a result, it's slightly purple as opposed to being the more blue. So it's showing up here, letting me know that I've been on that site, and also probably giving it a little bit of an advantage in terms of location as a result of the fact that I've been there before. So now on this search, we're now seeing that again, all Google Places results again with 3 non-Google Place results. If we go to, okay, that was nice. If we go to, actually, why is it not doing what it's supposed to do here? Okay, if we go to, I don't know why it's not showing the rest of the search information like it does there. Very odd. Just trying to find someplace that's doing what I'm expecting it to do. Let's go Chicago, a larger city. See if we get different results here. And again, we're not getting the full results to the left in terms of search. And I don't know why. Let's try Randy instead. Not getting the the full search result. This is very, very odd, and I can't tell you why this is happening. So don't hire me. I don't know what I'm doing. This is very. Who's that?
It was me laughing.
Oh, you're laughing at me. Oh, okay. Chicago. All I'm doing is changing this to Chicago, and now we're getting the right result. Well, I'm not sure what was going on. Okay, so in this case, you're still seeing, this is a Places result, so you're seeing 10 Google Places results. You're not seeing any non-Google Place results on that one. And here you're seeing Google Places at the top, but you'll notice only 3 this time, along with a lot of organic results below. This is a way more typical result that you're going to see. So now back to the original statement. Your website and Google Places would be the 2 that would be tied for the most important. And the reason is, if I'm looking in the everything search, but I'm not one of these 3, or sometimes, as you saw before, 7, sometimes it might only be 1, if I'm not in the Google Places top results on the everything search, which is the default search, everybody's going to use this first probably. So if you're not in those top 3, then you want to be down below here in one of these organic results. And you want to be preferably above the fold, which, as you can see on a laptop computer, there's not a lot of above the fold. After you get done with Google Places, there's only one shop that's showing above the fold. So Google Places and your website, in my opinion, would be the number 1 and number 2 most important things that you can do to promote your store, because that's where people are going right now to look. What are people looking for online in terms of bike shops? They're looking for information about bicycles. They're not looking for information about fenders, handlebars, brake sets. They're not looking for information about, they're not even really looking for information about your ride or rides that might be going on. That's certainly something you want to promote on the internet, but that is not the big thing they're looking for. They're looking for the brand and the model and the year of the bike that they're interested in. So you want your website to be chock full of information about the brand, the model, and the year, and you want your Google Places listing to include that information in the information that you're showing on Google Places. So you want to get highly ranked on Google Places. I have an entire blog devoted to that. It's called googleplaceshelp.blogspot.com, googleplaceshelp.blogspot.com. It's 100% devoted to Google Places and how to highly rank on Google Places. In order to get your website to rank highly, you would go to my book, and there's a chapter on websites, and would give you direction and advice on how to get your website to rank highly. So that would be number 1 and number 2 for me. Number 3, for sure, for bike shops, is YouTube videos. There's not a close comparison. YouTube videos do incredibly well, and sometimes getting in the thousands of hits per month. Again, I would recommend that you do YouTube videos that are about bicycles by model, brand, and year, and include your city when you put your titles together, your headlines together. I'm going to pull up here. Let's just take bike shop. Let's take another city. Let's take Ontario. Okay, and if we look under bike shop Ontario, Bumstead's Bicycles comes right on top, which is one of my stores. We've probably done 60 videos for Bumstead's. So if somebody's looking for a bike shop in Ontario, California, kaboom, they're going to get tons of information about Bumstead's Bicycles. And that's the kind of thing you want to have happen. You want, when people are going on YouTube, no matter how they're looking it up, if they're looking up for something that you do, then you want to have a ton of information up on YouTube. You can see that this particular video has had 5,737 views. This one, just about their 100-year anniversary, 546. Here's a more recent one that didn't do quite as well, only 546 views, 404. Here's one with 2,100 views. Here's one with 26,000 views, 21,000 views. So you can see that, some of them go crazy. There's one with 31,000 on the Miraco. Some of them go crazy and get tons and tons of views. Others of them, you'd be happy. Maybe you get 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 views. But the combination is what you're looking for. You can get literally, most of my clients are getting over 1,000 views a day between all their videos. This is a way to dramatically increase your presence, not only on YouTube, but all these YouTube videos end up also being on lookups for the specific neighborhood or for the bike shop. So in other words, let's look up, here's a good one, look up bicycle fitting Los Angeles. Oops. We want to do this. Yeah, this will be a regular Google search for bicycle fitting Los Angeles. And you're going to find, under bicycle fitting Los Angeles, you're going to find YouTube videos here right at the very top of the page. Both of those, I believe, are for my clients. So you're going to show up in the regular listings. Well, there's Montrose, which is a client. I believe that this one down here is, I can't tell for sure. Oh, okay, PV Bicycle. That is a client. Another PV Bicycle right here. So again, you can see what amazing kinds of presence you can generate by having your YouTube videos up there. And they're very easy to shoot. There's a whole section in my book on shooting YouTube videos. There's an entire section. There's a webinar that we did earlier this year on YouTube videos and how to do them, and that you can still find if you look at the email that you probably responded to today. I go back to that email, you'll see a webinar that we did on how to shoot YouTube videos. Now, once you've shot a YouTube video, there's so much more you can do with it. You can transcribe it, okay, and of course, again, here we're talking about maybe a bicycle and what makes the bicycle great, what makes it, better for the trails or better for road riding. You're gonna do these explanations, and you're gonna show the bike off, and you're gonna show its both benefits and features. And then, because you've done such a great job putting that YouTube video together, you can do a transcription of it in like 8 minutes, 10 minutes usually, and now you have a textual version of what you've done. Now you can use both the video and the text on your blog. Now, if you set up your blog right, your blog can be attached to your Facebook, your Twitter, your Google your Google Plus, and your LinkedIn, and so you're going to get a headline. That whatever headline you put on your blog postings is going to show up on all of those as well. So now you've got a lot of work done with just a single blog post. So that brings us to blogging. Blogging, to me, would be the fourth most important thing you can do in terms of your promoting your bike shop. Blogging, again, is inexpensive. If you use Blogger, it's free. You can also do WordPress blogs, and they're free. Again, there's a whole section in my book on blogging that teaches you how to do it, what you're trying to do, and how to be effective. I'm finding a huge difference between blogs that only possibly are doing maybe 10 or 12 postings a month, and those that are doing a post every single day. Some of my clients now are getting 50 to 100 visitors per day, unique visitors per day. Now, some of those are a year old or 18 months old, so they've been at it a while. But it only takes a few minutes, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes to put together a nice little blog posting. And, you do that all day. You do that once a day, or pick a day each week and do 6 or 7 all at once. And I think you'll see the results are quite good, both in terms of the interaction of the community and in terms of people actually coming in as a result of those blog posts. Okay, let's stay online for a minute. Not a big fan of Facebook. Not a big fan of LinkedIn. Not a big fan of Twitter for bike shops. Does that mean I don't think you should have them? No, you should have them. But I don't think you can get a return of your investment of your time, because it's basically free. I don't see very many people getting a good return on their time investment on any of those. And but by using what I just mentioned and tying all of your other social media to your blog posting, now you put up the blog post, you get a presence on all the others. Once you've got a presence on Facebook, then people will start to answer, and if they start to answer, that gives you an opportunity to start to engage that community, maybe less expensively than just trying to put up a lot of stuff on Facebook. Obviously, if you've got events going on and you throw pictures up on Facebook, if you go to events, if you do if you find a great YouTube video, about some great ride someplace, or some extreme mountain bike trail or something, you can throw this on Facebook, and that's all good fun. And so make your Facebook about having fun with it, and if you get a couple of sales off of it, great. But the sales, in my opinion, are going to come from Google Places, your website, YouTube videos, and blog postings. Now, that's online. One thing we didn't talk about was Yelp. I wouldn't advertise on Yelp, but just make sure that you're being very effective on Yelp and Google Places with reviews. Get lots of 5-star reviews up there, and if you get negative reviews, be sure to respond to those reviews first privately, and then if you don't get a satisfaction from a private response to the review, then make a public response to the review, being very kind and generous to the person who slammed you, even if you think it's a competitor. So just be kind, be generous, acknowledge that there may have been a problem, but explain how it is you do business so that people can see that you do care and you do want to improve yourself in any way that you can. Okay, that's online promotion. Those are the main categories. That's my list. Offline, I am a big fan of any kind of event that you can put on. Clubs, club rides, organized rides, Saturday morning rides, Wednesday night rides, Sunday afternoon rides, rides that you organize with the local church, the local YMCA, the local high school, the local Rotary. The more rides, the better. If you can get other people to actually run the rides so that you don't have the time commitment, but they are sponsored in some way by you, and they start at your shop, or you help them to get them going, you help them to get more people coming in, then you can use Meetup, meetup.com. You can go to meetup.com, and you can put the ride on meetup.com, and commonly you're going to end up with 100 to 200 people that will sign up for your meetup, for your ride. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to show up, but now you've got access to them. You can email to them. You can let them know about specials. You can let them know about promotions. So I'm a big fan of all this kind of event type of things, certainly weekend sales, things of that nature. Now, how is the best way to promote all that stuff so that you get big turnouts? The way you want to promote all that is with email blasting. So this is the kind of the in-between promotion that's in between the online and kind of an offline. and you want to email blast to your client list and your potential client list. And you want to get as many emails as you possibly can. I have a bakery that we basically did some promotion in store for this event. We did some PR releases, and the event was held in a shopping center parking lot, which is where they're located. But we did, Ashley, six email blasts. I think we did six email blasts. Yeah, six to their entire list, and their list is about 2,800 people. And when we did that blast, the result of all that promotion is that they had 1,200 people come to their 30th anniversary party. 1,200 folks. Now, you know, if you had an anniversary party, would you get 1,200 people there? I was extremely pleased with the result, and they were too. But we hit the list every week for 6 weeks in advance, letting them know about this upcoming party. We sent out some press releases. We did some in-store promotion, but 1,200 folks came to that party. So email blasting, pretty much every marketer in the country right now acknowledges that email blasting is the highest return on investment thing that you can do to generate business. There is an art to email blasting because obviously you want people to open those emails when you send them. And a 20% opening rate is the national average. 30% opening rate is about what we get on average. And so if you're doing this and you're getting between 20 and 30%, feel good. If you're getting over 30%, call me. I want to hire you. But 20 to 30% is a good response. But so you want people to open the email, and there's a science to that. And then once they open the email, you want them to take action on the things that you're talking about inside. So you want them to come to your sale. You want them to pick up the phone. You want them to tell their friends. You want them to come to an event. There's a whole bunch of things you want them to do, and you want to make sure, or you want them to go take a look at a YouTube video that you just put up. So there's a lot of action things that you can put in your email blasting. And the more stuff you put in there, the more exciting, fun, I like to say delightful things that you put in an email, the more likely it is that the person will open your next email. And that's how you get high opening rates, not just by good subject lines, but rather by continuity. So you say, oh, I enjoyed that email, I'll open the next one. And this is the way that you get that kind of continuity. So again, chapter in my book on how to do emails. Again, I think we did a webinar. Is it posted though?
Which webinar?
Did we do a webinar on email?
Yeah, it's posted.
It's posted. Okay, so we do have a posted webinar on how to do emails. If you're not doing those, not only do we talk in that webinar about how to create and make a good-looking, successful email, but we also talk about how to gather emails, both in the store, on your website, on your blog. There's also all kinds of techniques. One of my bike shops, started gathering emails. He's just a regular old shop. Started gathering emails about 3.5 years ago. He now has way over 4,000 emails in his database. So you can imagine you're sending out emails to 4,000 people 2 or 3 times a month. That's a pretty good way to generate some excitement out there. So emails are huge. What else would be on my list of most important promotions for a bike shop? Offline, or traditional methods, I'm very much into joining. I would say that my experience over now 40 years in the bicycle industry and dealing with thousands of bike shop owners has been that bike shop owners tend to be not the biggest joiners. They might create their own club or be members of bicycle industry clubs, but they're not as likely, let's say, to join the chamber or to join the Rotary or the Kiwanis or the Optimist Club. And the Optimist Club, of course, promote Bicycle Safety Week, so it'd be a great club to join, or Bicycle Safety Month. Joining is a great way to promote what you do. Now, it doesn't have to be any of those things I just mentioned. It could be coaching the local baseball team. It could be, there's a million, joining in terms of some kind of a charitable activity, raising money for the community. So there's a million ways you can join, and you want to always join because you want to give back. That's your reason for joining. But at the end of the day, when you join, you typically will start to make relationships that are going to turn into not only bike sales, but from the person who you've met at the chamber meeting or the Kiwanis meeting, not only is that person potentially going to come in the shop and buy, but you can well imagine that people who join these kinds of organizations tend to be movers and shakers in the community. So they're also going to tell their friends. Their friends say, oh, where'd you buy your bike? Oh, I bought it over at Joe's. So this is going to be not just something that's going to promote your store among those you meet, but also is going to have a multiplier effect. In addition to that, typically, once you get involved, and if you get into a club like that, my recommendation is always get really involved and make a difference in that organization. Once you're in that organization, there's going to be other opportunities for you to potentially put on events that involve your store. So 39 and a half years ago, when I had my bike shop, I put on a huge event with the Chamber and the Optimist Club down at Santa Monica Pier, and we had television stars and the police department was down there, and we had the mayor. I mean, we had everybody you can think of in that community was down there to help us promote this event. And my little tiny brand new bike shop got a huge amount of publicity as a result of putting together that event. And it was a great day with clinics and repairs, safety repairs, and all that kind of stuff. So by my being a member of the Santa Monica Chamber and being a member of the Optimist Club, I was able to rally the two organizations and my retail store into putting together this massive bike rally and fair down at the Santa Monica Pier. So this kind of thing, getting involved, joining up, it's a bigger time commitment, but long term, the payoff is going to be really, really huge. Just in case, Ashley, has any of our people sent you a question yet?
No, we have no questions.
We have no questions. Come on, folks. Haven't I spurred any kind of questions out there? We need some more questions. I mean, I could talk forever about anything, but it would be a great help if we had a few questions on Question Tuesday here. Let's see. What other ways can we promote? What would be other high on my list of things to do? Show your colors. I can tell you right now, it's not obvious. I live in West LA. I'm very, very close to one of the largest bike shops in the country, Helen's Bicycles. The other bike shops in West Los Angeles and even up and down the coast around West Los Angeles are all totally jealous, not of Helen's sales, not of Helen's profits, not of Helen's reputation. What they're jealous of is any weekend that you go out anywhere in the coastal area and you see riders riding in a pack, you're going to see way more Helen's jerseys than anybody else's. I haven't gone over and asked Jay, the general manager of Helen's, whether he's giving them away or whether he's paying people to ride them. But my guess is they just make really cool jerseys, and my guess is they're charging for them. But they, of course, they have a large business, so they're going to have more opportunity to sell those jerseys. But on any given weekend, they are being advertised like crazy for free by having all those people out there with those jerseys on. So in particular, if you're after the $1,000 plus bicycles, you want to find a way to be actively getting jerseys out there on folks that are riding, so that you've got that advertisement happening out there. Speaking of on-bike advertising, I'm going to be a little bit. Let's say that I don't have an axe to grind anymore, but I had a 20-year history of convincing folks like you to give away, sell as many water bottles as you possibly could with your name on them. That would go for other things too, but I don't think there's anything quite like a water bottle. For 20 years, for those of you who don't know, for 20 years, actually for 26 years, I was the president of AC International, and our highest dollar volume item was California Springs water bottles. I sold that 4 years ago. So the California Springs water bottle is just one of many great water bottles out there, which you can inexpensively put your name on. I don't know what I've been out of it for 4 years. I'm just going to guess that a imprinted water bottle is still under $2. And so if you put your name on a water bottle, you've got a $2 item at cost that you can give away that is going to continue to remind the person you gave it to, as well as it's going to provide an opportunity for other people to see that water bottle on the bike or at the picnic or at school or a million other places. So I certainly recommend the general category of promotional products, but in the bicycle industry, such an inexpensive way to use a promotional product to get your name out there, such a nice big billboard. Use it well. Make sure that there's a very clear logo there, very clear phone number, so that folks can take advantage, so that when that water goes out there, folks may have a chance to go ahead and learn your name, learn about your shop, ask the person you're talking to about your shop, and then have a phone number right there to call. Our website and the website as well. Anybody got questions yet? Come on. We're going to run out the hour here, and you won't have had a chance to ask your question.
We have one question.
Go ahead.
Do you have any recommendations for handling the labor involved with internet marketing? Do we really need to hire someone to do it all? Website, YouTube, blog, ...
I think that's a three-part question. The first part is kind of whether you would enjoy it. So one of the things in my 40 years in business and with all the companies I've owned, I've always tried to hire people to do the things I don't want to do. So sometimes it's not even financial. Sometimes, for instance, I can't draw a stick figure. My artistic skills are zilch. And I don't want to learn, and I don't want to get better. So I've always hired people to do that kind of work. I also, unlike many of you, I don't like working with my hands. I'm going to hire people to do things that require any kind of skill with their hands. When I was making 5 million water bottles a year, I couldn't have turned on one of my blow molders. I couldn't have gone back and printed a water bottle to save my life. That's just not a skill set, and also something I don't want to do. Photography, I'm no good at it, don't want to do it. Video, I love doing, and I'm pretty good at it. So that's something that I still do for my company now. So A, do you like to do it? And do you have any kind of, and B is, do you have any skill at it? So, and when I say skill, is it doesn't have to be a skill that you have right now, but are you willing to invest a few hours to become skillful? If you're going to blog, you need to be able to write. Somebody needs to be able to write. Somebody in the building needs to be able to write a coherent, cohesive article that somebody's going to want to read. And that is a skill. And generally speaking, 1 in 10 people have that skill. I would say in my life, I would say 1 out of 10 people can write decent, can write good enough to do blog posting. Video is a little more complicated, a little harder to do. But again, probably there's somebody, if you have 10 employees or 12 or 15 employees, then you count their cousins and their sisters and moms. There's probably somebody around you who can do a decent job of putting together a YouTube video. Most of my clients that are not right here in Los Angeles do their own YouTube videos. I teach them, I train them how to do the YouTube video, and then we just do the editing, which is a little harder to do as well as we do it. What are your skill sets? What do you like to do? And then what are you willing to pay? So Randy Kirk and Associates has developed, since I was a manufacturer for so many years, for 26 years, since I was a manufacturer for 26 years, they have something in manufacturing called lean manufacturing techniques. And it's a method of getting the most you possibly can for your investment. So you want to keep the quality extremely high, but you have to compete with anybody who might be at the lowest end of the ladder, of the price ladder. So what we would do is we would come up with method after method after method of allowing us to sell the bottle at the very lowest possible price out there so we could compete. But at the same time, we had a reputation for having the best bottle in the industry and by far the best printing. And that was just from the techniques that we developed in lean manufacturing. Well, we do the same thing with regard to things like blog posting and YouTube videos and Google Places optimization, website development and design. We're really, really inexpensive. We currently charge a typical client $845 a month to do all that for them. For the bicycle industry, we're still giving a discount because we have so much data already in place. We're discounting. We only charge $750 a month, and we do everything for the shop. We are the vice president of marketing for the shop. So, it's $750 a month, which would be what you used to pay for a Yellow Page ad, and don't pay anymore. If $750 a month is affordable, I may have an opinion that is slanted here by the industry that I'm in, by the business I do, but $750 a month is not a lot of money to spend to have somebody take over and do a professional job of your blogging, setting up your Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all the rest, doing YouTube videos, helping you with events, and just generally across the board being your vice president of marketing for the company. So now, on the other side of the coin, a traditional marketing consultant would charge maybe $3,000 a month to do that same thing because they haven't employed these lean manufacturing approaches. The $3,000 a month would be too much for most bike shops. Maybe a 4 or 5 store chain could afford that, but an independent bike shop probably cannot afford $3,000 a month for a marketing consultant. So the question becomes, what do you want to afford? I heard this morning, by the way, just for those of you who showed up today, this is an extra special thing. I already believe this, but I was talking to a client last night who confirmed it. You're all being hammered, I'm sure, by advertisements for Yext, Y-E-X-T. This is a guy who has lots of money and he spends money on like every new thing that comes out. He says the worst investment he ever made was in Yext. And that's been my impression. That continues to be my impression, certainly after he confirmed it. I also don't recommend to my clients that they spend any money with Yelp. Most of my clients do not use AdWords or AdWords Express because they don't need to. Everything is done. We do everything in the organic. We don't need to pay money for pay-per-click. I don't recommend you spend money on City Search or Yellow Pages. So there's all of that kind of thing. And our experience so far has been that there's just not enough return on investment to do those things. Yes, you can go out and you can hire a videographer in your area to come in. If you're going to do that, I would say see if you can find somebody that charges no more than $300 for a 2-hour session. Be totally prepared to do it. Read my book. Make sure that you know exactly what it is that you want to do. Look at some of the examples. I got thousands and thousands of YouTube videos. That's not true. I have around 1,200 YouTube videos up. You'll be able to find them, so you can see examples. And then when that guy comes in, make sure that you knock out at least 12, 15 YouTube videos in that 2-hour session for $300. And then the $300 hopefully includes editing. But if it doesn't, I wouldn't spend more than another $25 a video, $30 a video for the editing. So, or you can try to do the editing yourself. But that's kind of the ballpark, I would say, if you want to hire that done. Hiring writers to do blog work for you, that's a toughie. I've been doing that because we just have so much work now that we're outsourcing a lot of the writing. There's a thing called Odesk. I haven't had much success there, but it's the largest, odesk.com. Maybe you'll have more success than me. I've actually been getting a fair amount of success just from asking friends, asking neighbors, asking people at church, asking other people that are already working for us, do they know somebody who's a good writer? And right now we have a couple of decent writers on board. And so that's another way to do it. So yeah, you can pay for it. Right now, writers are available for around $10 to $15 an hour. And they should be, like I said, they should be able to write 3 to 4 blog posts an hour. So that'd be a kind of a general idea. But the key thing is, remember, when they're writing those blog posts, they not only know how to write, they have to know how to write a blog so that it's properly optimized for the search engines. Otherwise, it's not going to be found. And so that's another aspect of it.
Randy, we have a question.
Email blasting. Almost every community has people who will do professional email blasting for you. but they typically charge, I would say, $150 to $250 per blast. And you know, so when you take into consideration that we do at least one, sometimes two email blasts for our clients included in that $750, it's and then YouTube videos and everything else on top of it. But yeah, you can get people to do email blasts for you for, I would say, $150 to $250 per blast would probably be the going rate out there right now.
We have a question,
Any other-
Randy.
Go ahead.
Somebody's asking about Angie's List, whether you'd recommend it.
Yeah, there's two, right? There's Angie's and there's Judy's. And I haven't really, I'm going to be, you know, if I don't know, I'm going to tell you I don't know. I know that Angie's List and Judy's List both result in business. I'm not 100% sure how great it's going to be for a bike shop. I think for a contractor, for a lawyer, for a CPA, you know, for some of these higher priced guys that are going to get this regular income from it, or a very large, you know, result, you know, get one kitchen out of it and as a contractor and it's going to pay for itself for a year. Bike shop might be a little harder, you know, kind of again, just you might stick your foot in the water, you know, try it for 6 months and see what happens. Sometimes I recommend that with Reach Local also. Reach Local for a bike shop is probably $500 a month. Gives you some pay-per-click exposure, and you get a chance to see if pay-per-click's going to get you anybody in the door. One of my clients did use Reach Local for a while, and he said he was getting a return on it. But he had 4 stores, and he was spending $1,000 a month. So, you know, there's some things like that. If you say, okay, here's my goal, like any marketing decision, here's my goal, here's what I want to get out of it, here's how much I'm willing to put into it to get that, and then you test it for 2 months or 3 months or 5 months or 6 months, whatever it is, you got this test period. And then at the end of the test, you be honest. You look at the numbers and you say, did this get me the results I was looking for? If it didn't, forget it. Move on. Any other questions out there?
No questions so far.
All right. Well, one of the things that just recently came up, and I did kind of speak to this in an email blast, I think a couple of weeks ago, another element of marketing, a lot of people don't think about the fact that your profit and loss statement is also marketing. So every aspect of what goes into a profit and loss analysis is a part of marketing. How much am I spending on rent? That's a part of marketing. How much am I spending on payroll? That's a part of marketing. What is my cost of goods sold? That reflects, you know, whether or not you're getting good margins, whether you're selling bikes at full margin, what you're doing in terms of accessories, what your product mix is. All those things are part of marketing. What am I spending on marketing? What is my advertising budget? Am I spending enough out of my gross in order to, you know, can I justify more for my marketing expenditure? So every line item on your P&L is really a marketing decision. And what I've been finding recently is that bike shops are not making nearly as much money as they should be making. And so I actually did a webinar. Again, this webinar is in the email from, I think it was 3 weeks ago we did this webinar, that there's an $800,000 bike shop should be paying the owner $100,000 a year and should have a profit on top of that. If that's not happening for you, then go look at the webinar. If you're a $1 million bike shop, it's more, right? Maybe $120,000 a year. If you're $1.5 million, it should be almost double that, although you may have to have a little bit stronger manager at $1.5 million. So you may be paying him. It may not be double, but maybe at $1.5 million, you should be making $150,000 a year and still making a profit on top of that. So, but if you're not doing that, the basis of the webinar that we did 3 weeks ago was, okay, where in my P&L am I going wrong? Am I not making enough margins? Do I have too much staffing? Is my rent too high? You know, what is the element here that we're missing that we need to change? And so that webinar will be something you might want to look at as well. That has been something I've done for years. Since I started this business, you know, in fact, one of my very first clients was Turnaround, which we took from near bankruptcy. Bankruptcy. We took them from a week or less when deciding to close the doors, we've taken him now to where he's making six figures and also a profit on top of that. So, you know, having a strong P&L and understanding what the P&L means and how it is directly and completely tied into your marketing is a. It was also interesting. Maybe you all attended the webinar 3 weeks ago, but I also had a guy who called or emailed me just before that webinar and said, "Hey, you know, I make 56% margins." And I was like, "Holy mackerel, that's great for a bike shop." So, you know, he was doing the typical thing, 35 to 40% on bikes, 50% on accessories, hopefully 50% on clothing. But he said every time that there was a sale of a product, something was put on a decent sale from the wholesalers, where something he knew for sure he would sell in 12 months, he would buy a 12-month supply. And he just had a bunch of cash on the side that he would use for these purchases. And he said his average margin across all categories was 56%. Oh, by the way, so you don't jump down my throat, that was including labor being in that number with no cost basis. Okay, so the labor aspect as a full dollars in with no dollars out for cost is what balanced the bikes at 35 to 40% margins. So, but anyway, 56 overall percent margins, and he was making a lot of money. He was very, very profitable. So, any other questions out there?
Yeah, we actually have another question. Someone asked, they said they have customers come into the store and tell them that they can find and buy parts, tires, and accessories on the net for less than they can even pay for wholesale. So how are they supposed to compete with internet sales?
Well, at the end of the day, this is an age-old question. When I started the business 40 years ago, it wasn't the internet, it was Gemco, you know, or it was Pep Boys in the Western region, who was undercutting the prices so badly, and you know, the mass market was the bugaboo then. Now it's the internet. At the end of the day, there are different levels of participation in every industry. So you have the independent retailer, you've got the mass market, you got the online. Sometimes you've got mass marketers who it's just a department, and they can use it as a loss leader. So there's a million ways these things work, but it's been that way my entire career, and we still have lots and lots of bike shops that are thriving. So what you want to do is you want to niche yourself. You want to have products that nobody else has. You want to use some of the great suppliers out there that are trying their darndest to keep the stuff off the internet and out of the mass market. You want to have phenomenal customer service so that people want to come into your store. You want to and they feel like they're going to get quality care. They're going to be taken care of. If they have some kind of a warranty issue, and when they want their bike repaired, they know they're going to get extremely good repair service and warranty and honest warranty results, and then keep your prices up there. That's all I can say. I deal with a lot of shops, and I've dealt with a lot of shops over the years, writing all the books that I've written for the industry and giving all the talks I've given. So I know a lot of folks, and believe me, there are tons of great bike shops right now that get full MSRP. I was just with a shop the other day, Specialized Concept Store, and he says on 2012 bikes, we rarely discount a penny. He says every once in a while we sell 2 bikes, maybe 5%. But on single sales of current year bikes, we do not discount at all. And I won't say who this is, but their sales are way in excess of $1 million, and they don't discount. I'm pretty sure at the other end of the line, I have another shop. I don't think he discounts 2012 bikes either, and he's like a lower end shop. So you don't have to discount. You have to give great service. You have to have events and stuff that make people love you. You need to be a place where people want to come and feel like they're going to get treated right, and those things will all add up, and they'll add up to people willing to pay the price. Sometimes, when I've been in that situation, which I've been in a million times, sometimes you actually have to put your arm around the person's shoulder, maybe not literally but figuratively, put your arm around their shoulder and say, you know what, if I don't get full margins, I won't be here. You won't have this great customer service. You won't have this service department. You won't have, this great bike shop here in this town. This is what we need to survive. I'm sure in your business you have a certain amount that you have to charge in order to stay in business also. And sometimes you'll know who that client is and who that person is, that you can just say it to it that way. Say it to them that way. Any other questions?
We have one question. Do you have any suggestions for finding, interviewing, or training mechanics?
Yeah, I think I just did something on hiring. Was that 2 seminars ago? So I think there's also something in the email. I believe that there's a webinar that we did recently that had to do with motivating salespeople. But, most of this stuff, the hiring approaches for hiring mechanics, not that different than hiring a salesperson. If they're only going to be a mechanic, I would, generally speaking, be looking for somebody who is just so reliable. I mean, they got to be able to turn a wrench, but then I didn't need to tell you that, right? You knew that. So you need somebody that can turn a wrench. But what I want in that mechanics, I want reliability. I want somebody who's not on drugs, not partying as soon as he gets off work every day. Who's going to be there on time in the morning, who's going to be, working quickly but carefully. This is the ideal individual. Now, if they can sell too, especially if they can upsell the service. Again, one of my clients the other day was just talking about he had two mechanics. One of them could upsell service, the other one couldn't. Do you know how much money you can make upselling service? Somebody comes in for a $5-6 inner tube or a flat repair for $12, and while they're there, you're selling them a brake repair. Are you selling an accessory? You're selling them a pair of Rhinodillos. Full disclosure, I consult with the folks that make Rhinodillos, the new tire liners. So you sell them a pair of Rhinodillos at the same time, so you got another $20 retail out of that sale. So getting somebody who has at least the capability to do a little customer work that they can get along with, they can talk to a customer, is something else I'd be looking for. Now, where do I find those kind of people? Well, in general, which is what we talked about in the webinar 5 or 6 weeks ago, is I'm looking for somebody who, I'm generally speaking going to start looking with the people I know. So I'm going to ask the reps that call me, do you know anybody out there that's looking? I'm going to ask my existing service people if they know anybody. I'm going to ask the people in the club, if I support a club. I'm going to ask specific customers who are my friends, if they know somebody. I always love to get somebody on board who I know more about than just what they put in the application. So I'm always going to start there. I'm just going to look everywhere I can among friends, family, relationships that I already have, to see if I can find that person that I know the history on. I know more than I can ever get out of an interview. If I don't succeed in that way, one of my favorite ways over the years, and I've hired, obviously with that factory, I hired hundreds and hundreds of skilled mechanical people. And one of the places I got my best was temp to hire. So I went to the temporary agencies and I said, from time to time I'm going to need a mechanic. What do you charge? And they typically charge about 30% over what you're willing to pay per hour. So, so if it's a $10 an hour mechanic, you're going to pay $13 an hour to the temp agency. The cool thing is that you can send somebody home after 4 hours from the temp agency without even thinking about it, because they're temp. But what you tell the temp agency is if it is a temp to hire situation, you tell them this is a temp to hire. I want somebody who is going to come in temporarily, but who is looking for full-time work. And that way, you get a chance to look at them without putting them on the payroll, easily send them home. And at the end of 90 days or whatever you work out with the agency, you get to hire them. Typically, there's no additional charge if you keep them through the agency for a certain number of days. So that's one of the things that really work well for me. You have all the traditional ways that I can't really improve on in terms of Craigslist and the rest. But those are my little secrets that I use. We got time maybe for one more question.
Okay. Are there any specialized services that owners can play up on that you believe would be a good idea, like return policy or bike fitting or things like that to compete with internet sales?
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, those are a couple of good ones. But I think, bicycle fitting can be a whole business in itself. That can be I know people that make a living doing nothing but professional bicycle fitting, charging, $80, $120 an hour for doing that. So that can be a great adjunct to your business just in terms of a whole other division of the business. But providing great fittings is certainly one way to differentiate yourself. The other thing is when you sell somebody, this is so fundamental to my whole approach to the bicycle industry for 40 years. What we're in the business to do is not to sell somebody something. What we're in the business to do is to provide somebody with a great experience. So our job isn't done when they buy the bike. Our job is only done when they buy the bike. We provide them with the accessories that they need in order to have a great time out there, and we provide them with some resources to have that great time. So some of those things are going to be paid for, and some of those things are going to be free. And so if we can tell them about rides, or we're putting on our own rides, or we've got a club that they can join. I've got another one of my clients right now that's got a great Diva Club going. He's got 50, 60 members now that are going out weekly. So if you can start offering those kinds of over and above services, all that stuff adds up to a reason to get it from you rather than to get it from Walmart. Okay, I answered that one in 2 minutes. Got anything else out there? Anybody else?
So far, no.
Okay, all right. Everybody said, oh, well, that was the last question, so I'm not going to put any more questions up. Well, let me just say to you all, glad you came by. We will make a copy of this and put it up on YouTube so you can revisit it, or tell your staff members they can take a look. It'll probably be up tomorrow or the next day. And then, we'll have another webinar, hopefully in about 3 weeks. I haven't decided the topic yet. If you didn't get a question answered that you'd like answered, don't hesitate to send it in afterwards by email. You've got my email right there, randykirk77@gmail.com. And then if you're interested in our services, if you're interested in hiring us as a marketing consultant, same thing. Send me an email. Give me a call, 310-910-1848. Happy to talk to you, 310-910-1848. So I think that's, and don't forget, buy the book. If you haven't bought the book, buy the book. You can go to bikeshopowners.com, bikeshopowner, that's singular, bikeshopowner.com, and buy the book. Or you can get that from JMB, or you can get it from the National Bicycle Dealers Association, NBDA, on the NBDA website. So thank you again for visiting us with us today, and maybe we'll see you in a few weeks.